Hey, this is Lawrence D. Adams, and I'm live today. Well, not live, I'm actually doing a pre-recording, but let's get to it. So today I want to talk about how you can fight your way to your transformation. Let me tell you, it's not easy. Everyone's not going to be happy for you because you want to become a different person. Last time I talked about the importance of your identity, but today I'm talking about the fight that you had to have in order to embrace your true transformation. Every person, if they're going to go to the next level, is going to have some kind of fight in them that says, I will not remain the same. Let me tell you a story. I was in a place where I lost everything. I was lost my job, I lost my apartment. I had a few cents coming in, and I would ride the bus down to the library, public library, look for jobs on the computer, read book. After I did that for so many hours, I made sure I went and read motivational books, and I read how to incorporate improve my skill set. It was in those darkest times that I had to embrace the transformation I wanted to get to the next level. It was not easy. It was not easy. When you're looking at your bank account and it is all zeros. But I had to have a sense of fight inside of me and said, I will not go out like this. I remember one time I was walking down the street and I seen one of my classmates and they said, hey, you want to ride? And I looked at disheveled. I looked like just wasn't like I wasn't taking care of myself. I said, you know what? I cannot stay in this place. I have to fight. And I'm going to tell you what the biggest fight, number one fight I had to do. The first fight that I had to do to get to the transformational side of who I needed to be was with my old self. Many of the fights that you're fighting is not what people on the outside of you. It's fighting the old version of yourself that wants you to stay the way you are. Let me say that again. Many of the fights that you're having are with old thoughts, old mindsets, and old ways of thinking that is stopping you from being the best version of who you need to be. They come at night. They'll come in the morning. They will show up at knocking at your door just when you're about to make the next step. And many of times, let me tell you the biggest time they show up. They show up in the forms of your friends. You think you want to do that? You think that's the best thing to do? Are you sure you can do that? Where the money's going to come from? The biggest fight that you're going to have is going to be the internal fight that you have with yourself. I went through it. I experienced it. It was not fun. But I realized the real fight was, which shouldn't have been a fight after all, was with my old mindset. I was battling being the new version of who I need to be and battling with the what? The mindset that I was having that got me to the point that I was there, where I was at that point. I said, so I was battling with the mindset that I had. What mindset did I have? Because the mindset that I had at that point was keeping me at that level. So many of you think the battle is on the outside of you. Let me remind you that the real battle is on the inside of you. It's on the where? On the inside of you. You are battling the old version of yourself. And many times your environment will remind you of your old version. I remember when I lived in Atlanta, I would go to Phipps Plaza and I would go to this restaurant that had a patio. I would go there and order some tea because that's all pretty much I can afford at the time. And I got some tea and I would sip the tea and watch the people come in, go to Phipps Plaza, and they will order their lunch at lunchtime. And what I was doing was reminding myself that this is the environment that I belong, that I no longer have to strive and fight on the inside of me anymore, that this is where I belong. Many of you need to have a shot to your internal conversation and your internal struggles and say, hey, enough is enough. I'm going to embrace the new version of myself. But that may not help you. You may need to go to the next step, which is finding a group of people, even a group of people who are at the place you want to be at so that you can be immersive in that environment. You don't find out the strength of the tea until you put it in hot water. Let me say that again. You do not find out the strength of tea until you put it in hot water. Some of you need to be in an environment with people who do not think like you, who do not experience life like you, who have different perspectives than you, who actually see the world a whole completely way. Many times, why we have not changed or experienced transformation is because we're speaking and listening in silos. What does that mean? You're in the same, around the same group of people, doing the same group, doing the same things, going the same places. And what happens is it's impeding your growth or your transformation. So you need to find a group of people who are going in the same direction or the direction that you want to go in. And that may mean you may need to leave that group of people that you're with right now. Why would you thinking, why would I leave the group of people that have been so fun and we grow? If they're not growing, they're slowing you down. In order for you to experience the transformation that you need to get to the next level, you need to be around people who have already experienced the transformation you want in your life. So you need to be around a group of people who's going to challenge that internal fight that you have inside. That internal fight can be like you fighting Ali or you fighting Mike Tyson on the inside, and you're constantly getting knocked down. But if you have the right group of people around you, you can get back into the ring and win the round of the fight. But the next step, what you really need, yes, you may have the right crowd around you. Yes, you're working on the internal fights that you have inside of you, but you may also need, simply as it's put, you need someone who can hold your hand, not do the work for you, but you need a mentor or someone who can see the hero inside of you. I am completely thankful for the men and women who saw the hero in me when all I saw was the loser. Just keep it 100. There have been men and women who seen the hero in me in the midst of my mess, in the midst of my struggle, in the midst of me fighting with old mindsets and old belief systems to break me into where I need to be at. You need a person who's going to challenge you in the way you're thinking. What happens is their beliefs in you become stronger than the old mindset and beliefs that you have about yourself. You need someone to do a belief transfusion into you. You need someone to say, I'm going to give you a belief transfusion. If you take this belief transfusion, it will save you 30 years, 10 steps, 5 years here to get you to where you need to be at. We all need those people in our life. You need a belief transfusion from someone who has already walked the walk that you want to go in. Many of us are still struggling in our mindset or struggling inside, and we need a tenacity to fight that next round. It's because we don't have the right coach on the side, on the ropes telling you can do it. This is who you are. I can think of many days when I had men and women, particularly a man who would call me and say, hey, you can do this. Don't sit back, get it done. Not babying me, not treating me like a kid, but saying, hey, wake up. You can get it done. Many of us struggle by ourselves and we never reach the transformation that we need to reach. We keep silent, and let me speak directly to the men. We keep silent and we think we're the only one by ourselves going through what we're going through. And what happens is we only prolong the situation in our lives because we refuse to say, hey, I don't know it. I need help. Are you one of those people who is prolonging what's happening in your life because you refuse to reach out to someone, a group, or even a mentor or a coach to say, hey, I need help? I heard this week how this man would realize that he didn't know a particular skill set, and he would pay an individual the $300,000 or whatever amount it was for a few minutes of his time so that it can shorten the distance for him getting to the next level. Many of us are we believe this whole fairy tale lie that it takes a long time to get there. It doesn't take a long time to get there. It only takes the right people to get you there. It does not take a long time to get there. You need the right people who can get you there. And we've been choosing the wrong people to get us to the place we want to be at, that place of transformation. So the internal fight that's going on can be completely silenced in you when you have the right group of people around you and you have the right coach who can guide you. Let me emphasize this again. They're not there to do the work for you. It is for them to say, hey, get into the game, fight, and do what you need to do. You have the skill sets, you have the mindsets, and you have the belief systems, and I believe in you. Let me pull some curtains to the side. Many of you have not heard from people around you that I believe in you. I never forget, I wrote my first book. I was 37 years old. My father was alive, and he was asked me to come up to the hospital. I was excited. So I get to see my father. He was in the hospital, was getting well, and he needed a haircut. So I go up there to cut his hair, line him up, so he felt good about himself. He was getting well, and I said, hey, Dad, I wrote this book, and I want to dedicate it to you. So he went through every page of that book like a child reading it. The facial expression that he had on there was like, my son has created something and I'm holding it. So he read through the whole book. And even thinking about it right now just sort of shakes me up because I'm like, wow, I wrote that at 37. And he read that book and he got to the end and he said, son, this was good. Proud of you. You wrote an awesome book. But then he said, there are many more books inside of you. I was like, man, it took me all year to try to figure out how to do the font right, how to create it and get the right self-publishing platform to get it shipped to me. And now he's telling me there's more books in me. But he says, son, there's more books inside of you. And I was sort of stunned. I was like, okay. But what my father seen was that if I did one book, I can create 2 books. If I can create 2 books, I can create 4 books. He's seen in me something that I couldn't see in myself. While I was battling inside the internal fighting that was going inside to even create the book, even present it to my father, and my belief system was only for 1 book, my father in his wisdom seeing that I had more books inside of me. And it wasn't for more books for me, it was more books that I can share and serve to other people. And when he said that, as you can see, I never forgot those words, it shook my belief system. Sometimes you need someone in your life who's going to shake your belief system off of its comfort zone. And when he did that, I thought, you know what? I can do another iteration of this book and I can create another book. So I'm saying that to tell you that story to bring home that the internal fighting that you have inside of you can be lessened and stopped when you're in the right environment, you have the right group of people, and you have the right person speaking in your life. It made all the difference in my life. And now, what was poured freely in me by my father, I pour freely into my sons and people around the world. I'm thinking about my son, my youngest son, who was academically, he was above average, but he also loved sports. He made a decision. It's like, hey, Dad, I'm going to stop playing basketball. I'm going to focus on my grades. I really want to lock my grades down. I want to have a certain 4.0. I'm going to, hey, you can do it. Then he got to the 12th grade year. He said, you know what? I want to go to an Ivy League school. I said, uh-oh. The first thing I'm thinking as a father, like, who's going to pay for this Ivy League school? But he had in his mind that I'm going to go. And I'm thinking, who's going to pay for this? But I said, you know what, son? If you want to go to an Ivy League school, I'm behind you 100%. You will go to that Ivy League school. I wanted to clear out any doubts that he had in his mind, any thoughts that it couldn't work. So he ended up looking at multiple schools. He interviewed for one school, went to one round of interviews, and it didn't go well. And he was a little discouraged. He said, yeah, Dad, it didn't go good at this particular college. It actually was Cornell University. And what do? I still want to go to an Ivy League school. So we say, hey, why don't you look in-state and find out an Ivy League school in-state? So there were several that he looked at, but one caught his attention, and they were willing to work with him with scholarships. So he went to go visit it, and he said, yup, this is it. 4 years from that decision, my son ended up graduating from an Ivy League school with his degree. The proudest moment I had was watching my son walk across the stage and receive his degree. Something that can never be taken away from him. That's why it's important, even through those 4 years, to have someone in your corner who's cheering you on, who's pushing you, who's telling you not to give up. Because there's many times my son I know wanted to give up, or the money didn't come through, or the job didn't come through. But he was determined that I am going to get my degree from an Ivy League school. What is it in your life that you need to push forward into the best version of who you are? What internal battles that you are having with yourself that you need to give up the fight, find the right group, find the right person who can serve you the best to get you to where you need to be at. I was looking through some old notes and I found a testimonial from some people who did some coaching with me. One guy said, you know, LDA was very insightful. He helped me finally make a decision to move from my city that I was in, go to the next city, find a job, and thrive. That right there, that testimonial right there, it touched me because sometimes you don't realize the impact that you have. But don't you want to be like him and have that insight? That being said, I want you to think about what was shared today and how I can serve you. This is Lawrence D. Adams. This is the thinking class. This is when spirituality and the game combines. You have the thinking class. No more fighting inside. Find that group. Find that person who can walk you from your zero into your hero of transformation. And I'm out.